In our series about French movies, there is one genre I haven't talked about yet, and it is dramatic movies. Dramatic movies are very good for intermediate or advanced learners because the text, the script, is much complex than in other genres, like romantic comedies, for example, which are better for beginners. So, if you want to watch French dramatic movies, here are 10 that are great. The first one on our list is L'Armée des Ombres. L'Armée des Ombres, it's a movie from 1969. And it's an old classic about one of the darkest times of French history, the Second World War. And you will find that in this list there are a lot of French movies, of dramatic French movies, which are actually about this period. More precisely, this movie is about La République de Vichy, the Vichy Republic, which was the republic in place when France was occupied by the Nazis. L'Armée des Ombres is a story about la résistance. It's a story about friendship and it's a story about schemes. Then we have a much more recent movie, La Vie d'Adèle, which is a movie from 2013. And it's a movie about when you are 17. When you are 17, it's the age where you fall in love for the first time. And Adèle, the main character, is 17, so she's trying very hard to fall in love, but she's not very successful because she believes something is wrong with her until she meets Emma. And this movie was actually a huge success. It even won La Palme d'Or at the Festival de Cannes of 2013. Then we have a very interesting movie called Les Misérables. Les Misérables is a movie from 2019, and it's a movie about the policeman versus the people. It's an homage to a classic of French literature called Les Misérables by Victor Hugo. And it was another huge French success with Oscar nomination. Not a lot of French movies went through the Oscars, but this is one of them. It actually won 4 Césars, les Césars, which are the French equivalent to the Oscar, and the Jury's Choice at Le Festival de Cannes. So, huge success, definitely a movie that you should watch. Let's go back in time with our fourth movie, which is Au revoir les enfants. Au revoir les enfants, it's a movie from 1987, and it was recommended to me, actually I didn't know this movie, it was recommended to me by one of you guys in one of the comments, and indeed, when I watched it, it's a true masterpiece. I don't call a lot of movies masterpieces, but this one is one of them. Once again, it's a story about la résistance, but it's slightly different here because here the goal is actually to save kids, to save Jewish kids. So in the middle of the countryside there is a school run by Le Père Jean, and Le Père Jean is a résistant, and he's hiding Jewish boys in his school so that they don't actually get deported. This is the story of one of those boys and the story of Le Père Jean as well. Then we have a totally different kind of movie. Belle de Jour. Belle de Jour, it's a movie from 1967, and it's about a woman, Séverine, who is a beautiful housewife. She's married to a handsome, nice doctor, but even though on paper she has everything that she would ever want, she craves more, she needs more. And so she's going to get into a story about sex and seduction. Then we have 2 movies in one, Manon des Sources and Chant de Florette, which are 2 movies from 1986. And it's a long story about a spring in the very dry south of France. It's a story of adventures and revenge, and it kind of looks a little bit like a thriller sometimes, but it's much more about the people than it is about the crime. If you want to watch it in the story order, you need to watch Chant de Florette first, but if you want to keep the mystery in Manon des Sources, you need to watch Manon des Sources first. Your choice. Speaking about thriller, we have one here that is called Sur Mes Lèvres, which is a movie from 2001. And it's about the alliance of 2 very different people. One who is a partially deaf real estate assistant and that is in need of recognition. She is very shy and she is very She's a little mouse. And then we have on the other side an ex-con, someone who just got out of prison and who is definitely not shy. It's a story that goes a little bit deeper than just a standard romance, and that's why it is in dramatic movies and not in romantic comedies, and you'll see why when you watch the movie. It's also a beautifully made movie, so if you enjoy watching beautiful visuals, this is a movie for you. Then we have a very recent movie called Le Chant du Loup. Le Chant du Loup, it's a movie from 2019, and it's a movie about submarines, because there is a war that we don't know about, a war that happens in the depth of the sea. It's not a war that is fought with bombs, it's a war that is fought with the sound. And it requires very special soldiers. Soldiers like Chanterelle who can hear the difference between a whale and an enemy submarine. This movie is good, it really feels like a thriller, it at times is very claustrophobic, but it's a very good movie. Then we have another Catherine Deneuve movie with Le Dernier Métro. Le Dernier Métro. Le Dernier Métro is a movie from 1980, and it's one again about the Second World War, but from another point of view. Here we are in Paris, and Paris is occupied. But les théâtres, so the theatres, are still open. And even though she has to hide her Jewish husband, Marion needs to run her theatre as well. And it's another great performance by Catherine Deneuve, and in this movie you will also find Gérard Depardieu, which is one of my favorite actors as well, favorite French actors as well, because he has a very beautiful diction when he's speaking in French. And finally, we have probably the most dramatic French movie on this list, and it is La Reine Margot. La Reine Margot. La Reine Margot is a movie from 1984, and it stars Isabelle Adjani in La Reine Margot, which is her role in the movie. It's a lesson of history as well as a French lessons that you are going to receive when you watch this movie. So before you watch it though, probably if you are not familiar with French history, you need to brush up on Wikipedia about les Huguenots and Lady de Nantes. That would actually give you a little bit of background before you dive in this movie, especially if you have very little knowledge of French history. Now that's it, you have an extra 10 French movies on your list to watch. If you want more French movies, you can download the list of French movies that I recommend depending on your level. You can find that in the description below. And if you want more movies, if you want to watch more videos about movies, I have this whole playlist that is just about French movies.